Welcome to the Pro Aging Podcast. I'm Steve Gurney, founder of the Positive Aging Community. We're excited that you can join us for our interactive discussions with pioneers and thought leaders on a wide variety of topics related to aging and longevity. We're able to bring these to you along with copies of the Positive Aging Sourcebook, thanks to the support of our Positive Aging Community champions. Visit proaging.com to connect with them and find hundreds of other resources. Well, today we have a discussion with Dr. Bill Thomas, author, speaker, founder of the Eden Alternative and the Greenhouse Project. Wall Street Journal named him one of the most influential Americans shaping aging in the 21st century. He's currently with the health pioneer Lifespark. So let's jump into a discussion with Dr. Bill Thomas. Help us welcome our guests. I've got my partners here, Scott Parkin and Sharon Canner from Reston for a Lifetime, which is a village. And thanks again for partnering and bringing such a wonderful topic and presenter to us today.
Thanks, Steve, for that welcome. Reston for a Lifetime is pleased to partner with Pro Aging to bring you this timely webinar. This webinar is sponsored by Hunter's Woods at Trails Edge and the residents at Colvin Run, Assisted Living and Memory Care. First, a little bit about Reston for a Lifetime. Our mission is to inform and educate how to age in place. We do this through a robust website and a monthly electronic newsletter. We are volunteer-led, no staff. My colleague, Scott Parkin, and I serve as the lead volunteers. Scott has had a long relationship with Bill Thomas, and I'm going to turn to him to make that introduction.
Thank you, Sharon. Bill just said a few minutes ago that he's known me since the 20th century. But anyway, thank you again, Sharon. So good afternoon, everybody. Through the creation of movements like the Eden Alternative and the Greenhouse Project, Dr. Bill Thomas has made life worth living for literally millions of elders, both in this country and around the world. Bill today is going to share some different ideas about better together and how to change aging. And right now, Bill is Chief Independence Officer at Lifespark, a Minnesota-based organization that exists to put spark back into the lives of elders. So, Bill, take it away. And it's up to you now.
All right. This is great. Hey, welcome, Bill. And folks, I'm going to drop off the screen here, but I want to let you all know, make sure to put your questions, comments, ideas, and Bill, I'll get those read to you, and really looking forward to a great dialogue today.
Great. Well, I was looking at some of the names of the people who are on, and I just saw half a dozen names of people attending this session that I would love to be in the audience for. So this really seems like an extraordinary group of people coming together today. And I'll try to do my best to help you kind of see where my thinking is these days, kind of the issues that I'm reflecting on and the problems I'm tackling, some of the language I'm using, some of the framing that I'm interested in. But the most important part of this session is you bring in the heat with questions and comments and interacting. So really want to emphasize how important that is. So by agreement with Steve, I've decided to do a series of short, about 10-minute talks on something that I'm interested in, that I think is important. And then we'll flip into conversation mode with questions and answers, and Steve's going to quarterback that. And then we'll start another one, and we'll just keep going. I don't know how long. We're just going to do it. It'll be fun. So the first thing I want to talk about, first thing that came to my mind, as especially with the crew that's on this webinar, that I think is an important concept that doesn't get an appropriate level of attention, is the concept of aging literacy. And, we'll get into it, but there's also the counter concept of aging illiteracy. So what do I mean by aging literacy? Well, when in American English, when we use the word literacy, we mostly are thinking about the ability to read and write the language, whatever language is you prefer. You're said to be literate. In fact, the word even, literate, literature, literary, we tend to think about it as kind of knowing the language and how to use the language appropriately. There's a second, more recent kind of meaning for literate, which means understanding how to use a tool. So we often say, so-and-so is computer literate. Whatever type of technology that might be coming into the fore, if you master that technology and you learn how to use it effectively, you can be said to be literate in that technology. All right, that's literacy, but what's aging literacy? And here I want to kind of set up a whole life continuum, a framework for us. There are many people that I see on this webinar who remember a book. It came out, I think, originally in the 1980s. Somebody'd have to look it up, but it was called What to Expect When You're Expecting. And for many members, many people in the 1980s who were of childbearing age, this book was really useful because it was baby literacy. It was pregnancy and delivery literacy. And if you go back another generation, there was a book by Dr. Spock called Baby and Childcare, I think was the proper name of it, which for a long time was the best-selling book in the history of the country. That, again, was about being literate about development and what is normal and what's abnormal. In fact, what a lot of these types of references and books do is they help people distinguish between the normal and the abnormal. And that can be hard to do. The first time a human gets pregnant, they've never been pregnant before. How are we supposed to know what's normal and what's abnormal? Furthermore, in the absence of really highly credible, clearly communicated knowledge, misconceptions come in, and people get ideas from sources that are not credible, and it can cause problems. Now, remember, back in the 80s, I was training in family medicine. I was doing a lot of obstetrics. I had a patient in my office, a pregnant woman who was in tears because she thought she had killed her baby because she raised her arms over her head, and her grandmother had told her, if when you're pregnant, you raise your arms over your head, it pulls on the cord and strangles the baby. So I was like, no, here's the heartbeat. Your baby's fine. You most certainly can raise your arms over your head. It's okay. And I think I did so much good for that person that day because I was able to help her become more pregnancy literate. Now, let's go to later life. As we age, we encounter changes that we may or may not have a complex and nuanced understanding of. And in the absence of that credible understanding of credible knowledge about aging and what's normal and what's abnormal, problems occur. And there are two types of problems. Both are serious. First, some people in the absence of aging literacy think that normal things are abnormal. And they'll seek even sometimes medical attention for things that are normal. I'll give you a specific example. there is an abundance of clear evidence that how we sleep changes as we age. And in fact, why would that surprise you? You see a child going through different ways of sleeping as they grow into adulthood. Why would we not realize that how we sleep changes as we get older? Because it does. But if you are aging illiterate and you think, well, I ought to sleep like a 17-year-old boy, that's normal, isn't it? And you get upset that you don't just fall into bed and sleep soundly for 12 hours and then wake up hungry for breakfast. If you're not sleeping that way, you think, well, something's wrong. You're 87. That's how I should be sleeping. I must go see the doctor because I've got some sleeping problem. No. As we get older, we tend to get our sleep in smaller packages, and we tend to experience phase advance where we go to bed earlier and rise earlier than we did when we were younger. And we tend to have wakeful periods during the night, which are normal and fine. And all these things come together to contribute to older people being in the doctor's office asking for sleeping pills when in fact they're doing fine. So that's the first type of problem. I could give you many, many more examples, but a normal thing is interpreted as abnormal. The medical system is consulted, and oh lordy, I won't go into it, but there are a lot of complications related to people getting sleeping medications they don't need. Now let's flip it around. There's also a problem with people thinking that abnormal things are normal because they're aging illiterate, right? So a very common example of this is urinary incontinence. If you go to the card rack, the birthday card rack, or you listen to ageist jokes, there are lots of attempts at humor based on urinary incontinence being associated with aging. But that it's not funny. It's a significant issue. It's not a normal part of aging. And if you're experiencing urinary incontinence, you should go to somebody who's an expert in helping you figure it out and work on it. Try to change it. Urinary incontinence is not a normal part of aging. Okay? So what happens is people take an abnormal thing and say, well, that's just the way it is. But what are the consequences of not getting appropriate treatment? Well, some people start to narrow their daily activities because they're concerned about urinary leakage, and they might withdraw from social settings that are previously very important to them because of this, untreated abnormal situation where they could get some really good advice on how to manage or improve that condition. So there we have it. We can, all of us, help ourselves and help other people learn more about normal human aging and become more aging literate. So I see Mary Williams put in the comment that there's a book, some of the books you can download online. If you want to read about aging literacy, the book Aging Magnificently has a big section on aging literacy. I only touched on the briefest part of it, but you can download that book for free and read about aging literacy at length if you want to.
And hey, Bill,
Yeah.
lots of questions about this book series that you just wrote, and I dropped the link into chat here at Lifespark, but it looks like you've done 4 different books here: Aging Magnificently, The Good Life, Move, Eat, Sleep, Heal, and Better Together. And these are free?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to give us a little overview about this
I'll give you,
project?
I'll give you a little overview. So I'm working right now for a really extraordinary company that is dedicated to helping older people get off the sick care roller coaster and live healthier, more bountiful lives. That's a company called Lifespark. So as part of my work for them, I developed a series of 4 books. They're called the Spark Pillars. And it's a 4-book series that takes you from the very first page and confronting ageism, which is pretty important, all the way through to some of the groundbreaking work we're doing at Lifespark, Better Together. So the books are, the way books are today, they're relatively short. Maybe 30 years ago, they would have been published as 2 books instead of 4. But that mesh book, Move, Eat, Sleep, Heal, if you want to dive into what's the evidence about sleep and how to manage sleep, that's a great book to read. They're free. If you want to download them and read them, download and read them.
I love them. So you said the word innovative, and that always gets my attention. Can you give us an overview of some of the innovative projects that you're working on right now?
Well, I think there's two things that I'm bringing together. The work that I'm doing and those books bring these ideas together. On the one hand, and I'll talk about this in our time together, I'm addressing the risk deficit that many older people live with. And I'm actually working to help people live more risky lives and have more risk and chew that risk up and enjoy it. And I'll get into that. And then the second thing is I'm helping people have less risk in terms of their exposure to the medical system. I really believe that healthcare is coming home, that we are entering an era where fewer and fewer of us will spend time in acute care settings and in facilities, and more of us will be supported in a home of our own choosing rather than in a institution.
Great.
Putting those 2 things together.
I love it. All right. Well, we got a lot of questions and comments, so you want to jump in? Okay. So Patricia was the first person on the list here. So how do you know when to go to an assisted living place and discuss it with your family? I would love to hear your response to that.
Well, the question is often framed in terms of failure and weakness, and that's an unhelpful frame. I prefer to frame the question around strength and connection. So my work every day is helping people age in the home of their choice. Home of their choice. That house on the street isn't got magic wand in it. You might love your house, but your house does not love you. You may be living with social isolation because of where you're living. That's no good. So I actually encourage people to think about the virtue of social connection and eliminating the burden that the house is putting on you so you can put more energy into health and well-being. And the other thing I'll say, Steve, in years and years of practice, just about everybody moves too late. I don't know. I might have seen a few cases over the years of somebody moving into assisted living too soon, but pretty rare.
Yep.
So try not to be the move too late person, because you're going to miss out on some of the strength related attributes that you can get in a community.
I
like
love
that.
it. Okay, and speaking of another innovative project that you've been involved with, Nicole is asking, how is the Minka project coming along? And if you could tell folks about the Minka project and what that's all about.
So we merged the Minka project into an entity called Calamos. And for the folks on the session who've read my earlier books, a lot of people know that I wrote a series of novels about a land called Calamos, where elders lived at the heart of the community. So we've taken that Minka's housing concept ideas and folded into a bigger package called Calamos. And currently, we're working on a grant project that the state of Colorado gave us a chance to undertake, where we want to design a community, a Calamos community in Loveland, Colorado, starting in 2024. Would be about 100 small, not tiny, but small homes, very densely clustered, based on the novels. So I think it would be, you know, how we had Margaritaville based on a song, Calamos based on a novel, a couple of novels actually. Go ahead, Steve.
Oh no, I love the concept of a community built around enthusiast, a celebrity, a novel, a sport, a passion. It takes it away from the age segregation to a belief.
Yeah. Well, Steve, I'm okay, and everybody on here right now, I'm going to double pump underline this. So the Calamos community is what we call magic. It's multi-ability, multi-generational, inclusive co-living. So it's a community we explicitly reject in this model, age segregation. And I think there's a really powerful argument to be made that humans actually do pretty well living with people of different ages. There's a lot of evidence about that. Many of you either are now living with people of different ages or grew up in a household with people of different ages. I mean, so it's actually the oddball in all this is the age segregation.
And had a question. How do you spell Calamos?
Oh, Kalllimos.
Okay.
And Calamos, and it's a made-up word, and what it means is a beautiful way of living, from the Greek calligraphy, for example, and the Latin ending mos, which means a pattern or a habit or a way of living. So a beautiful way of living, Calamos.
Great. So for that question, I dropped the website in there, and I love what I'm reading right here. It says you can be independent alone or dependent together. Calamos is powering a new way. I love that tagline.
Yeah. So we just think, and here's an important concept that I'm working on a lot, which is that independence and community actually need each other and go together. And aging is a team sport, and it's super tough to be independent without a social network. Very, very, very difficult. However, ironically, it's easier to be independent. It's easier to be independent when you're with other people and you can rely on other people and other people can rely on you. Strange, but true.
And just so you know, on our platform here, our number one discussion topic is solo aging. And the people that tune in to the solo aging discussions, they may have spouses and family, but they are some of the most empowered people looking to connect and make plans and create a supportive lifestyle for themselves in case something happens.
Look, everyone should be looking at and learning from the solo agers. They're really leading us to a 21st century understanding of aging, not a nostalgic, oh, remember when, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
They're leading us forward. Very important.
Okay, let's see. Elva says, I know you use technology, 3D printers for the Minka project.
Yeah.
Are you seeing any uses for artificial intelligence or robotics in addition to generative AI, chat GPT for marketing and communications?
I'm not really seeing much yet. There's a new AI-driven company that's trying to help people living with dementia that is out. Somebody can remember, maybe Steve, maybe Scott knows the name of that company. So I think there's some stuff bubbling up, but in terms of a killer app that's just really knocking it out of there, I'm not seeing it. I will say this about robots, and we'll move on. But the best, most helpful robot for aging is a robot that can clean the bathroom. So when I get that robot, I'm going to be very excited.
Yeah, they haven't figured that out. They know how to cut your lawn and vacuum your floors, but I totally agree. And that's also where, regardless of our age and our ability, I've fallen down a million times trying to scrub my tub. Okay, Jose says, do you believe the population shifts towards elders will lead cultures back to caring for their parents at home? If so, what changes do you think will be needed for our culture to sustain and iterate caregivers? Wow.
Oh, that's huge. I do not believe that is going to happen. And I can say why. I'm talking about American society, North American society. I'm not talking about other parts of the world. But in order for families to provide kind of continuous in-home care for older relatives living with frailty and or dementia, there needs to be a large reserve of unpaid labor, family labor available. In the past, in our society, that unpaid labor has been almost entirely female. And until we see the emergence of a culture where one breadwinner can support the family and one member of a couple can provide that unpaid caregiving, then it's actually how it works out in practical terms. It's saddling women primarily with a losing proposition. You're supposed to be out here working and helping support the family, but also when you get home, you're supposed to be doing caregiving for an older relative, and or giving up your occupation, surrendering that in order to help this relative. So it's I think a lot of families would choose that path if our culture compensated people in a way that made it possible. So that's not something I see happening. Maybe it'll happen, but I'm not seeing signs of it right now.
Great. Okay, let's see. Angela says she agrees with you, and she says people do move too late. I often experience people ignoring the reality of their physical or mental condition. They are fiercely, often stubbornly independent. Everyone else has aged, but they haven't. How do you help folks accept and embrace their customized reality?
Well, look, so I'll just say one thing about aging and being a geriatrician, right? So one of the first things you learn when you're a geriatrician is there's no fool like an old fool. So, we like to, older people are wise, but no, a lot of older people are victims of an ideology promulgated by John Wayne that somehow they're impervious to bullets. I don't know, whatever. They don't need to eat, they don't need anybody. They're just going to ride their horse across the desert. And it's all nonsense. And one thing in my practice, I would always remind people, sorry, but you've been dependent on other people your entire life. And don't give me this blah, blah, blah independent thing. because you need other people. And as we get older, the clarity, it's possible to see that more clearly, that we need other people. And yet some people in the old fool category just believe things that aren't true about their own capacity, about how we live as humans, and they suffer. They really suffer for it.
Okay, now I'm not sure if I've ever heard you talk about this, but Lee is asking you, do you talking about death and dying? Like, how do you talk to folks about that?
Well, okay, so I might be, well, my background is slightly different than many people on the call in that, geriatrician, in my practice, in years I was in full-time practice, 30% of the people I took care of would die every year. And it's kind of interesting because an oncologist that had that an oncologist would like jump out of a window if they lost 30% of their patients in a year. But I lost 30% of my patients every year. And so for me, here's what I found. A completely open, natural, sit down, focus. Now tell me about how you want to die. Tell me what you want. Tell me what you don't want. I would say things like, I'm probably the last doctor you're ever going to have, so you better tell me. I'm probably going to be taking care of you when you die, so you better let me know what you want. And because I didn't have difficult feelings, the people I was talking to didn't think they had to protect me with happy talk, or denial. So many older people would really open up and say, wow, doc, this is what I want. This is what I won't want. I'm like, I'm writing it down because that's what we're going to do. And you can count on me and I will protect you. And I'll do my best to make sure you get what you want and don't get what you don't want.
Man.
So that's the thing. People, if you really raise it and people don't feel responsible for not making you feel bad, they'll be pretty honest with you.
Yeah. And Lee, we did a discussion a few weeks ago on this book, Let's Talk About Death Over Dinner. And I'm dropping that recording into chat. But those and the death cafes, it's some of the best discussions I've ever been involved with are centered around death.
Right. Look, I love, there's an old saying, but despite all the improvements in modern medicine, the death rate remains stuck stubbornly at 100%.
Yep. That's great. Okay.
Not change.
Okay. Sharon has a question. Can you address the role of elder villages in the future of aging at home, and similar to Rest In for a Lifetime?
Yeah, so elder villages are if you and again, I'm taking you back to the books, right? So in the books I discuss really at length the historical experience of what are called friendly societies. They have very deep roots in human experience, but we're most familiar with them in kind of medieval Europe and into the early modern era, especially during the Industrial Revolution. These were people who just got together and said, look, this is really hard, this life thing. Let's help each other out. So sometimes they're called mutual aid societies. There's a very, very rich history of them. And the village to village movement is a 21st century manifestation of an idea that is millennia old. And that's it. When you've got when it's tough going, come together. That's the insight. That's very well proven. And some of the friendly societies have endured for many centuries. Right. And I see villages as a very powerful modern example of that.
And I found an article on mutual aid societies that I'm dropping into chat for folks. Let's see. There was a good one here. It's
can I just grab one that came up, Steve?
Yeah.
So Virginia is saying there's a stigma placed on you if you ask for a little help or service. It's not easy asking for help. Now, listen, Virginia, listen to me. Here is where that comes from, and here's how you can eliminate it. Listen, the reason older people are afraid to ask for help is because there's an unstated assumption in American society that if you ask for help, you lose autonomy. And the more help you ask for, the less autonomy you hold on to. And the way out of the box that you're describing here is to state it explicitly. I need a little help, and I want to remain in charge of my own life. I'm telling you right now, I need a little help, and part of that help is you not telling me how to run my life. And we can get along great if you can give me a little help and I stay in charge of my own life. So it puts the cards on the table face up. And you can enter into an agreement with somebody who can give you a little help, and then call them on it if they try to start running your life. And that works pretty well.
I love it. All right. Louis Tenenbaum says, can you discuss the importance of preparing in advance the physical environment of an existing home for aging in place as a prerequisite to fulfilling that choice of where to live?
Well, it's complicated on two levels. I'll take the first one and then the second one. Can I adapt a classic American detached single family house that was designed for the rearing of children to make it an easier place to grow old in? Yes, I can. But there's a couple of problems with it. And I'm not going to get into grab bars and but here's the problem. The house is too damn big. And I will tell people, big house, small life, small house, big life. Pick one. So if you keep the big house and you adapt it, that's a good thing. Do your thing, okay? If you move into a much smaller living space, you'll have more money, more time, and more energy for health and wellness than if you stay in the big house.
Yeah.
Second thing is many, not all, but many of these detached single-family homes are in rural locations or suburban locations where if you can't drive, you are basically marooned. So you can adapt that classic single family home to make it more age friendly. Absolutely. And if you want to do that, by all means, but also consider finding housing that's better suited to who you are now and how you live now, where things are more walkable, where the load of expense and maintenance is decreased, and where you have a better chance at building a social network.
Man, great. I love that point of view. Okay, Angela, I love some of these questions, folks. Keep them coming. She says, so how would you have that same conversation about living with your parent? Would it be as straightforward?
About living or dying?
Living, dying, or,
Okay.
making choices. I think what Angela is alluding to is that a lot of times we can talk about what's ideal for other people, but she's sort of challenging you to, hey, Bill, imagine that you're talking to your parent about these things.
So my mom and dad are 84. And I will say I do my best to honor them by being exactly as blunt and honest and unsentimental. That's not uncaring, unsentimental with them as I am with anyone I genuinely care about and love. Me pretending things are not, or pretending, I'm not up for that. And I tell both my mom and dad, you do whatever you want. I'm not going to tell you yet. I do have to counsel some of the younger relatives in the family about, hey, these matriarch, patriarch get to live life however they want, and you don't get to call the shots. But anyway, I'm lucky, I guess maybe, that I have a unconflicted relationship with them, and they're able to receive my honesty as a kind of caring. Maybe there's other people where that's not possible. I wouldn't be judging that, but I bring exactly the same thing you're hearing here, I do with my own mom and dad, and I hope to be helpful to them.
I love it. Okay. Elva, again, you're going to get the gold star today. Great questions. She wants to know your opinion on medical aid in dying, and has that changed over the years?
No, it really hasn't. Let's be clear. Let me distinguish. I believe not only many more elders choose the timing of the end of their life than you realize. And that's a personal choice made by people. And again, like I say, I have nothing to say about that. That's your call. I have always opposed medical aid in dying for two reasons. Number one, it's hard enough trying to help people have a good life. And I want my work and my profession, I'm dedicated to helping people find health and well-being to the last breath, if we can get there. What I don't like is the idea that the medical system, which is full of unintended consequences, and if you've been in the medical system, you know what I'm talking about, suddenly also being able to be in the assisted suicide business. I don't like it. So on the one hand, people should be free to do what they want. On the other hand, harnessing the medical profession and the health system with medical aid in dying is not something I favor.
Got it. Excellent. Okay. Nicole asks, is there any credible evidence, in your opinion, on how to possibly prevent dementia through lifestyle changes?
Yes, there is. Does she want to know what it is?
Yes. I think we all do.
All right. It's exercise. The only thing in the literature that has evidence supporting what you're asking about is exercise. And to simplify it, it's like this. The brain is a blood hungry organ. When we become sedentary, the brain gets less blood. Physical activity puts more blood in the brain and helps sustain the neural tissue that's there better and longer. And this is very hard though, because there's not a pill. I remember years ago, there was a study on Viagra that came out where they divided a group of men with erectile dysfunction into two groups. One group got Viagra and the other group got regular exercise and kind of physical training, coaching. The exercise group did better than the Viagra group. Once again, blood. That's it. Your brain needs blood. And
exercise is the way to do that.
Yeah, you can deliver blood to your brain. Do it.
Okay. We got a couple of really good ones here. I'm gonna let's start with this one here. It says, if Dr. Bill Thomas got a blank check where he would travel to learn from and do more research about another society, about how to age more magnificently, what does that look like?
I'd be on a jet to Scandinavia. And I could really tell you, it's not even close. I have been in Asia. I have been in Australia, South America, North America, Europe. Scandinavia is hands down better. And the reason is they just don't make a big deal about it. They just try to help people live. And so they fold these innovations and interventions into the fabric of society. I'll give you an example. I was visiting Stockholm. I was north of Stockholm, and a friend took me to an apartment building, random apartment building north of Stockholm, right? Oh, yeah, well, they have on-site childcare and adult day services for the people living in the building. Boom. So these people are living in multi-generational households in the building. The adults go off to work. The elders are right there. The kids are right there. They come back from work. The adults go back to the house. Just fold it in. And I could go on, but Scandinavia does the best job I've ever seen in the world.
Great question, and I'm going to look into that. I love that. Okay, so here's another good one. From Sonia, who says, along with holding up independence as the gold standard for aging well, there's a lot of focus on successful aging, so that people who are living with various disabilities as they grow older might hear a message that they're failing or less than adequate. She feels this is detrimental for so many reasons. What, from your perspective, can we do to address this? I love that, Sonia.
Yeah. Okay. So let me just talk about, quote, successful aging for a second. Embedded in the concept is the idea that people are successful at aging if they don't change. And in the American lexicon, you see that same prejudice in how we use the word still. So Steve Gurney's 87 and he still hosts a podcast. Hey, Steve, you're just like you were 23 years ago. Way to go, man. You haven't changed. The word still in every sentence of this kind, and I invite the audience to play these tapes in your head, does nothing but indicate that an old person is admirable because they resemble a young person. Now, look, what if I say, Steve Gurney's 87 and he hosts a podcast? Great for Steve. Yay. Yeah. But I'm not putting that signifier that says Steve is successful.
Because he's still doing something. It's
still.
And if somebody's in a wheelchair, that doesn't mean that they're unsuccessful in growing older, because there's 5-year-olds in wheelchairs. I mean, it doesn't mean anything.
Okay, so look, what's the yardstick? People are happy or unhappy based on the yardstick they pick. If you pick a yardstick that says, when I'm 80, I want to kind of look, act, and feel like I did when I was 40, man, you're in for a beatdown. You're going to get hammered. Okay? Whereas if your yardstick is, when I'm 80, I want to be able to do these things because these things make me happy. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Okay. Okay. Now, back to your the discussion of end of life. Mary asks, what is your view on self-dying because of foregoing eating and drinking? So that's not medical aid in dying. It's a choice that a person is making. What are your thoughts on that?
That's their choice.
And we don't have the government and hospital regulations are not tied into that, correct? I mean,
not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Let me make one distinction, but this person's clearly on another side. There's one thing of denying food and water to a person, making it impossible for them to eat and drink. That's not cool.
No.
But providing access to food and water and letting people choose what they want, that's okay with me.
Great. Okay. And I'm looking at the clock. We got about 10 minutes to the top of the hour. We'll get through these questions, folks. Bill, can you hang on for a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. And this is recorded if you have to jump off, folks. But Karen says, can we revive adult day services? So many have closed or expanded to service younger folks who have developmental disabilities. This is such a needed service. What are your thoughts on adult day services?
I mean, again, so I'll go back to Calamos for a second. So yes, people being served and supported in the least restrictive environment, I'm always interested in that. That being said, how organic can we make that? If I had the magic wand and I didn't go to Scandinavia, my magic wand would be that older people were participants in dense social networks of reciprocity. That's my boom. That's the magic wand. And so to the degree that what we know of, what we have known as adult day services, could be woven into those dense social networks, I'm really interested. To the extent that adult day services are in a big building, in a random place with totally age segregated, I'm less of a fan.
And density solves the problem of being car dependent because we can now walk. If you don't need to drive, then losing your car keys or deciding not to drive doesn't isolate you as much.
Yeah, I give you, I won't go into details. I happen to live on a dirt road, and it's so narrow, and it's a cliff on one side that cars can only go about 5 to 10 miles an hour. As a result of this, I know by name all of my neighbors, not just by name. I know them, I know their kids, I know their grandkids, etc. And so that walk density, walkability, and reducing the car-centric dimension. I mean, a car-centric society is not congenial to old age. So when we can do a better job of getting people out of cars and into closely clustered communities, we're doing people of all ages a favor.
I love it. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Angela says, given your comment about the importance of exercise, why is there so much emphasis on medication over exercise? In fact, I believe the medical community has a problem now in being honest with people about their physical condition and weight because of body shaming, regardless of their age. Do you see something like this?
Well, actually, there's a lot to unpack there. And I think, first, writing a script checks the box more easily than getting a person moving again. That's really hard to do. I can write the script and even do a little education on the medicine 5 minutes. I cannot take a sedentary person and get them into regular movement, body movement in 5 minutes. I cannot. Furthermore, there's no funding for helping people move. I can write a script for a drug that costs a lot of money with very iffy data about its impact on people living with dementia, but there's nothing with helping people move. So then the second thing about kind of body shaming, in the framing I use, move, eat, sleep, heal, I don't really care about exercise. I'm just saying, move your body. If the only thing you can move is your thumb, move your thumb. If you move your finger, move your finger. What can you move? Move it.
Man, and that kind of stems, it collides in with Shelley's question, which is my issue is accepting that I no longer have the body of my 40-year-old self, which we've talked about here.
Yeah, good.
How do you talk to people about reframing their body image, and if that's important?
Well, it's good to model it. So I'm 63, soon to be 64. I don't have the body of a 40-year-old at all. I am losing hair on the top of my head. I have less skeletal muscle mass than I did previously.
Probably can't see as well as you used to.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm using adaptive devices for my vision. Okay. All that being said, I do try to move my body, but how I can move my body is not the same as when I was 40. And my particulars don't matter. The point is I changed. And so the key to my happiness is if I'm able to inhabit my 63, soon to be 64-year-old body comfortably, that gives me hope that I'll be able to occupy an 83, soon to be 84-year-old body comfortably. Because I won't, in 20 years, I will not be like this. I will be much changed.
Very good. Okay, this is a good one here. Who are our allies in aging magnificently in Congress or the federal government these days? We don't have Claude Pepper anymore. Do you have any friends on Capitol Hill?
He
No.
used to.
I used to.
Remember Senator Grassley?
Yeah. That touches on a topic that there was a time during my career when issues related to aging were not seen through a partisan lens. And the people I would talk to with Scott Parkin by my side on Capitol Hill were one party or the other party. It literally made no difference to me or them when we were talking about aging, because aging was like a universal phenomenon and there's things that could be done to improve the well-being of older people. But I don't see it that way. I don't see our political establishment that way today.
Great.
I have a question, Steve.
Yeah, jump in.
In the introductory remarks that we had and wrote about, there was a phrase called "aging is a team sport," and I know you don't have a lot of time left here, but could you talk a little bit about gamification and how that's working?
Yeah, I will do a quick thing on gamification. And Steve, sometime in the future, you guys want to have me back, I'll go deep on gamification.
Oh man.
You've got a lot of great programs and so on, but I'd come back and talk about it.
I love it.
Okay, so I over the past few years working with Lifespark, I've organized a 32 team elder sports league that has $128,000 in prize money every year and engages in team-based competition between people living in senior living communities, mostly assisted living, where the people amaze me by their strength, their competitiveness, their stamina. And we kind of have a 3-word mantra that we pursue, which is strength, purpose, and belonging. And I can tell you that giving people an opportunity to be on a real team, competing for real stakes in a real league, is very attractive to people living in senior living. And if you want to dip your toe into it, the 4th of those pillar books really talks in depth about the Spark Performance League. And like I said, sometime you invite me and I'll come back and
you'll be getting an email from me within 24 hours on that one. The door is always open, man. I can't wait.
Yeah.
In the beginning of the discussion, you talked about aging literacy, and I think that caught a lot of people's attention. Donna asks, can you recommend strategies for gaining paid employment, preferably remote, in positions that advance aging literacy? So, I think we need to, but I'm not sure if there's jobs in aging literacy. It's more taking that mindset to any job that you have out there.
Yeah, I'm not aware at this point of specific remote work devoted exclusively to aging literacy. I think your point's a good one. It's got to be infused into all the work we do, all of us, all the time. And by work we do, I mean paid employment and the work we do on ourselves and with ourselves. So, I guess the first thing I would say is every person, myself included, can strive for greater aging literacy. All of us can. And the more we learn, the more we know, the better we do. That's the fact.
And I like that term. I know you were part of this culture change movement especially in nursing homes, and established yourself as a nursing home abolitionist. And I think there was actually a question right at the beginning of the discussion wanting to sort of hear what your viewpoint is on institutional nursing homes, or the model of nursing homes that are out there now. Like, what are your thoughts on that topic?
Well, I'm just going to say something that virtually everyone on the call knows from their own experience, but my sister-in-law was just admitted to a dreadful nursing home, and despite 30 years of effort, this nursing home remains completely untouched by any of the concepts we're talking about here today, Eden or anything. And there isn't I think that if a generation of people put 30 years into trying to change the system and the system doesn't change, it suggests the need for new solutions.
Great.
And so Eden, Greenhouse, Calamos, people doing things that are attempting to break the institutional long-term care mold. The need is more urgent than ever.
Man, I can't believe we got through the pile of questions. So we went a little bit over an hour. That's okay. But Scott and Sharon and the folks at Reston for a Lifetime really charged up that you were able to bring Dr. Bill Thomas to us today. And all three of you, if you've got any sort of closing remarks, and we'll make sure to get this recording up, folks, so you can share this with other folks.
Yeah, I'll just mention, I just picked out the quote, aging is indeed a team sport, and it's been mentioned several times, and living part of it. I'm aging, my spouse is aging, and it is indeed a team sport, and learning and being educated as we go along. We're about to go on a really big trip, and it's a lot of planning, but it's a lot of learning. And so one person will be carrying a walking stick, and we'll wonder, what will be the reaction? We know some of the passengers on this cruise are going to be young, and it'll be a fun experience. So thanks, Bill, and love this aging literacy point. Great job.
Well, maybe you can help some of those younger people get more aging literate.
Yeah.
Possible.
Man, and the other thing is, because I know we've got a lot of solo agers that tune into this, is that I know sometimes you feel like you're not part of a team if aging is a team sport, but you don't need to be blood relatives to be on this team. It's friends, family, neighbors, community initiatives, and if there's not something out there, you can, I know because I've seen a lot of you do this, you can create the team and make it happen.
I think there's great value, Steve. You had a session on, building personal networks some months ago. Mm-hmm. And the idea of planning around that is terrific.
Yeah.
And the importance of planning your life as you age is also really.
Uh-oh. Let's see here. Well, actually, as I see Scott is frozen and everybody's frozen there, this is a great opportunity for us